This
Don't
conference
think
will
she
now
wants to
be
know about the,
recorded.
oh, here it is. There we go. What was that? Somebody just talked to me. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Aha. I guess we better get started then at 7:01. All right, well, if everyone would mute yourselves so that we don't have a lot of feedback, that would be great. I'd like to mute myself too, but I guess I won't be able to, will I? Let's see, we had a few more people come on. Steve Holt and Jen Frazier. Now, did Pam make it on yet, or is she the one that's Dean? They put your names in alphabetical order instead of like the first one on, and so then you kind of, okay. So I would like to welcome everyone to our continued training, officer training for District 37. My name is Peggy Tobin, and I have been the secretary of the Sweetgrass Lions Club now for several years, probably 3 or 4. And I'm also the Zone 8 chairperson. So I recognize some of you from the zone chair. And I'm trying to figure out how to advance the slides. There we go. It worked. We were going to have this training in Fort Benton, but obviously we got shut down because of all of the COVID-19 things. And so this is our alternative. And we've done some of them with the webinar process, but I really wanted to have a chance for people to ask questions as we go through this. And so Mike did his presidents with just the GoToMeeting, and it seemed to work fairly well. So we'll hope that this works. The secretary, just a sec there. There we go. I had to kind of get rid of some stuff on my screen. The secretary is under the direction of the president, and some clubs, if yours has one, the board of directors. And he or she is also the liaison between the club, the district, and the Lions Association. And that didn't work. Oh, I see. I have to have my cursor on my slides. There we go. We have a lot of responsibilities as a secretary. We have custody, and we are to maintain all of the general records of the club. And in some of the stuff I've seen, we're actually supposed to do this since the inception of the club. And Coots Sweetgrass, for example, is 85 years old. And I can guarantee you that I don't have all of the minutes from way back when, but I do have them that go back quite a ways. So minutes of the club meetings, and if applicable, the board meetings would be certainly an important part of those records. Attendance, we keep, in my minutes anyway, I also keep track of, you know, who attends each one. And are we sending out the presentation in the future? Oh, for everyone's knowledge, there is a chat box, little round thing, you know, like what you see when in a cartoon people are talking. And feel free to put questions in there, and we'll do the best to kind of answer as we go along. And Jen, I would assume that we would be doing multiple trainings over time. And doing it in this format makes it fairly easy to have them regularly. And because some clubs may not have all of their new officers slated, or someone, you know, has to leave their position for some reason, and you bring new people on, I think that we would definitely be happy to continue to go through these trainings as often as necessary. Now, Carrie, you can ask Mike Collins how often he wants to go through this process, but the GoToMeeting is certainly a tool that makes that easier. And I know that we would like to have more training face-to-face as well, like we were planning to do in Fort Benton. And I went to one of the Lions annual conferences in Helena, I think it was, or Butte, and they had officer training there as well. So there's several different avenues that the district tries to do training, but we'll see how this goes, and certainly I would be more than happy to continue to offer some things. So attendance, again, we're supposed to keep track of who attends all of our meetings. Oops, my cursor's back in the wrong place. And committee appointments and elections. Obviously, when you have people who have been kind enough to offer to head committees and or be an officer, those things have to be tracked and maintained a record of. And again, I kind of do all of this as part of my minutes. But there's also, as we go through this training, I'll be getting online on the My Lion, My LCI, and showing you how some of this stuff is also tracked within those programs that we have that report up the chain to the district and to international. Member information. We have to keep track of addresses, telephone numbers, our members clubs accounts. And part of the reason for this is so that we can communicate with each other, but also so that the district can contact people. And so if our addresses, especially for our offices, are outdated, or we have a wrong email or telephone number, then it makes it really difficult for those people who are trying to work with our clubs to contact the right people. And I do try to go through and update mine occasionally. We submit monthly membership reports on My LCI, and this is something that I'm actually going to go online if the internet is willing and show you all how to do that. Some of you may have been secretaries for a long time, and this is old hat, but for those of you that are stepping into new shoes, I hope that that will be helpful as well. I'm a visual learner, so I have a tendency to be a visual trainer as well. So we submit service activity reports on My Lion. Now, you'll see that those are two different things now. It used to all be one. And it really was a difficult transition for some of us to go from being able to use My LCI. My Lion had some issues, I'll just use that term. And in fact, just this morning I was on making sure that they hadn't made any more changes, and they had. So our training could be interesting if they've changed it since this morning. We'll learn together if that's the case. We report if asked to our district governor and cabinet. As a zone chair, I'm a member of the cabinet. I will admit that I don't attend all the meetings, but there's a group of people that care a lot about our clubs, and they want to help, but they can't, again, if they aren't getting information as to what we need. And the club secretary needs to be engaged as an active member of the district governor's advisory committee of the zone. Now, what that means is that when we have zone meetings, the president and the secretary are an integral part of that process. I had a zone 8 meeting just like we're having this one. Robin, you were there, I know, and Tom, and it was really neat just to see some other people and talk about what's going on in other clubs. We learn a lot from each other, and maybe somebody's having trouble getting people to volunteer, to be on committees or something, and we can talk about, well, what's a good way to do that, or how could we get more people involved, or how can we get new members? So that interaction, I think, is where we learn the most. We have to deliver in a timely fashion at the end of our term all of those records we talked about to our successor. And my successor is on here. Tasha, you're going to get a pile of stuff here pretty soon. I know you're going to be thrilled. But it, again, you think about it, our club's 85 years old. I've got bags and boxes and all kinds of stuff. I'd pick them up and show you, but we don't have time for that too. So our 6 primary responsibilities are to help organize club and board meetings if you happen to have a board. We don't at Coutts Sweetgrass, doesn't mean that we couldn't at some point in time. And I've been working with our president, who fortunately happens to live in my household since he's my spouse, and that has made it fairly easy for us to coordinate. But it's really important to coordinate and get the agendas and think, whoops, it went too far. We have to attend all of those club meetings, or certainly try to attend as many as we can. Mike and I went on vacation in January, and I simply had someone else take minutes for me, which worked well. Hey, Pam, welcome. And preparing the agendas and recording the minutes at every meeting. And organizing those meetings, for me anyway, the primary goal was to have an agenda when we got done. And I have created a template for our meetings. So the agendas follow pretty much the same format each meeting. You want to be sure that you've had, the secretary report, the treasurer's report, all those kinds of things, committee reports. There's a list, and each club is unique, and their personality helps drive what you do on your agenda. So, and again, keeping all those club records and receiving correspondence and having a complete file of all of those reports that we've talked about just a little bit so far. Okay, there we go. Oops. Okay, that's going to be interesting. I think it said something about engaging other people. I'll go back to it. Now, we kind of have to look at what do we do before the meeting? What are we going to do during the meeting? What do we do after the meeting? Obviously, we create an agenda with the president. And I will say that when Mike and I first started on this journey that we had as president and secretary, we didn't do an agenda. We kind of had a list of things, from the prior meeting and made sure that we covered all of those, but we got better at it after a fashion. We provide members with advance notice of the meeting, and I use email for this. I have everyone's email address and I send out notice. I usually have the agenda attached to it, and I try to remind people if there's anything important that's supposed to happen during that meeting, in case they, just kind of glance through it. And I've been known as well to send out a reminder with the agenda, and then the morning that day, try to remind everybody again. And we have to gather up the correspondence that the club gets. Now, our treasurer gets a certain amount of that correspondence. I get some of it. She and I try to coordinate, make sure that all of that correspondence is read. And then if she gets it because it's going to her post office box. So you want to read and distribute that during the meeting. There may be some things that need action. We get a lot of requests for donations, for example. We also get a lot of thank yous, which is fun to read and know that what our club is doing is making a difference for people. And maybe there are some awards to prepare or new member kits. We had an award for our treasurer at our highway cleanup last night. 13 years that she served as the treasurer, and I'm supposed to go now and try to fill her shoes. But we wanted to acknowledge that, and we'll go a little later onto My Lion and My LCI, and you'll see that there's a store there where you can purchase those kinds of things. And needless to say, my president always makes me go online and do those things. New member kits, you can get those again via the My LCI. You order them, or and they involve having a new member card and a pin and information on how those people can kind of become part of Lions. So if you've got a new member that's going to be indoctrinated at your meeting, then you need to make sure that you've got that stuff already filled out and ready to go, because you're going to be presenting them with it at the meeting. And prepare a club roster for taking attendance. Now, this isn't as hard as it sounds, because you can print one off of My LCI. And I started creating, again, a template for my minutes, and I had all the members listed, and then I would just cross off who wasn't there. It was a lot easier than, trying to write everything down each time. So that just makes it a little easier for me. We've got about 30 members, and a lot of them are couples, so I just keep a list, and then at the meeting, I just take off whoever isn't there. So during the meeting, you're going to take attendance, as we just discussed. And you're going to be recording the things that happen in the meeting, taking the minutes. I'm waiting for my computer to talk to me. There we go. Gather activity information from your committee chairpersons. And as I said, we have various committees that work throughout the year. Sometimes they're inactive. During the winter, we don't have park cleanup up reports and things like that, but each thing comes along at a certain point in time, and there's reports. Part of the process there that we're doing with getting those committee reports is to find out what it is that we need to report for our activities. We want to ask new members to complete all the appropriate forms. If they're there, there's a membership form that they that they complete. That's part of that kit that I talked to you about. And you're going to want to document in your minutes any guest speakers or non-Lion visitors that you might have had attending your meeting. We are always very fortunate to have one of our district governors come to our meetings. They try to visit all of the clubs. The state's very large, so we actually have our district, our first vice, and our second vice split up the state in hopes that they can actually get to all of the clubs. We have about 67 clubs, but they're spread out, as you all know, over a significantly large area. Some districts they have all 60 of their clubs within a 100-mile radius. So now you've had your meeting and you've taken your minutes, you've tried to document everything that happened. And one thing I want to mention too, I'm OCD and my minutes kind of probably have more in them than is required. They really don't need you to document what everybody says. What you want to do in your minutes is have the fact that there was discussion, you know, that there were a variety of ideas and what the results of that was. Steve, why isn't the agenda the president's responsibility? It is the president's responsibility, but it's good to coordinate. I actually really appreciate knowing kind of ahead of time what the plan for the meeting is. It helps me prepare. I like to kind of have a template for my minutes. I do it on the computer because my handwriting is so awful. And I suppose that's really up to each club and each president. You might have a president who says, hey, I'm going to do this all myself. As I mentioned to you, I'm the business manager at our school. Our policy says that the superintendent and the board chair do the minute or create the agenda. I want you to know that that has been delegated to me by both of those people. They approve the agenda. So maybe it's me. I don't know. That, but according to our secretary handbook, and I've got an ebook that we'll be able to email out to everyone as well. It is really part of the secretary and president together to coordinate that. Let's see. Okay. So after the meeting, now you're going to actually record your attendance, record the awards that were presented. And as far as I'm concerned, this is basically going through my minutes and making sure that I've gotten everything the way it's supposed to be. Now, assisting treasurer with dues processing upon request. Some treasurers do that process by themselves, but some treasurers want the secretary maybe to mail out the postcards and say, hey, don't forget your dues are due. Ours are all due before the end of the year in, like say by December or so. I don't know, all of the clubs probably have different time frames that they do that in. Our dues are due at various times during the year. I know that the district dues, I want to say that they're due in July. The international are charged out twice a year, like in January and July. So clubs may have different ways of timing their dues so that the money is there to make those payments. We're going to file and distribute a copy of the meeting minutes after they're approved. So what I do after each meeting, I go through and to the best of my ability have the minutes correct. I email them to all of the club members. Following each meeting, I want them to be able to read and be ready with any corrections. I actually really like it if someone sends me the corrections ahead of time so that I can have that all corrected. And yes, Nancy, all motions that are made during the meeting are going to be recorded in the minutes. Who made the motion. And that's probably the result of all of those discussions that we have. Like I said, you don't really have to record that, Tom suggested this and Mary suggested that and all those things. But at some point in time, someone's going to make a motion about, we're going to spend $500 to donate to, our local food pantry, let's say. Cutbank did that, by the way, not too long ago and had a really nice article in the paper and a good picture. And so that decision, maybe the discussion is, do we do 250? Do we do 500? Whatever it is. But at some point in time, someone makes a motion to donate that $500. Someone seconds it. And then, of course, you record whether or not it passed. And usually, if it's unanimous, you put that down. If it ends up being something where you kind of have to count hands, it'd probably be good to say that it passed, with the majority, but there were people who were against it too. I guess that's again up to each club to decide. Most of the time, our club's pretty laid back about some of those things, and I just say that the motion passed or didn't. And lots of times we have friendly amendments after the fact. Oh, gee, we forgot to talk about this, so we kind of add that in. We're going to receive new membership applications from our club membership chairperson, and that gets presented either to the board or the club for approval. We do everything at the club level. You know, the bylaws and the constitution that your club has may have direction for that, but since we don't use a board in a club our size, our club basically is the final decision maker. And so we vote on new members, and we you know, vote on our budgets and spending. We in the past have not had a budget at, say, the beginning of the year that just says, here's what we're going to spend for these various signature activities that we do every year. So those end up being something that's acted upon at a meeting when it's appropriate because something's coming up, and so we make a decision that we're going to spend so much on this or that. All of those things are going to be put in the minutes. Okay, succession planning. This is something that I know some of us are on our way out and some are on their way in, and some of you may just be there for yet another year, but it's good for all of us to attend some kind of officer training for our new, which is exactly what we're doing, and I'm excited to have hopefully new secretaries here, as well as some of us that are just getting refreshers. We're gonna, and you have to understand, and I will be showing you this, there is a time frame when you can create your account and start being on MyLCI. And that is when you are entered in as being the club secretary for that term. And once that happens, then you're going to have access to secretary training online, which, by the way, is where the majority of the information that you're looking at tonight came from, was the MyLCI training. We need to verify officer membership information that it's correct, and because the club roster that's in MyLCI is what International Headquarters is using. It's what our district level officers are using. And if the information isn't right, like I say, I mean, my husband's phone number happens to be wrong in our directory, and I'm not sure why. It's right in the system, but somebody hits typos happen. But to the best of our abilities, we need to have our information as correct as possible. So we work with our club president and our treasurer on annual budgeting and assisting with setting up committees. Now, that may not be the way you operate in your club. This is a suggestion that we have an annual budget that can be presented to the club for approval. It streamlines what happens throughout the year in our meetings if we have a budget already set, especially for those things that happen year after year. And setting up committees. You know, it's we have quite a few committees. We try to have a chairperson for each of our major activities, and what this does is it allows people to participate. We had a history with our Coots Sweetgrass Club where I went through and looked at all of the people that used to be Lions, and I'm going, wow, a lot of these people are still around. I wonder why they're not still Lions. And some of them just felt like they didn't have a place. They weren't allowed to get involved. They felt like some of the people that had always done it, you know, were still always doing it, and so they really didn't feel like they were serving any purpose. And I think it's really important for us to involve the members of our clubs to try to keep everyone excited about being a Lion. And we have had so many great ideas come into our club from new members. And I could go on and on about how important it has been for us to have a variety of people in our club who want to get involved, but you have to allow them to become involved, and that's actually sometimes the hardest part. Okay, we're going to very shortly, I'm going to log into this MyLCI website, but I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like, and I had made my slideshow up before I found out I was going to be able to actually go online and do some of this. But when you log on, there are 5 things. There's MyLCI, And you're going to see here where you manage your membership here. You create district and club profiles. You check club voter eligibility. Now, if someone hasn't paid, if that club, the clubs vote for like district governors and where we're going to have the next convention and any changes to bylaws and things like that. Well, if a club hasn't paid their dues, that club can't vote. And it's similar within the memberships of our clubs. Clubs are members of the district. We have our members that are members of our club, and the same thing would be true. If they haven't paid their dues, then they technically wouldn't be eligible to do some of those things. We also want to check application status. Maybe there's a club, for example, maybe there's an area where we could start a new club and there's an application process to go through. It used to be, and because I really liked the old system, I'm going to tell you that my LCI used to be where I went to do everything. You got to enter all your club activities there. Now we have this new one called My Lion. And that's where you report your service now. And you can plan service projects on there. You can connect with other Lions. I haven't done a lot of that. I'm still kind of up there on number 1, figuring out, there was a fly, how to report our service with and not get thrown out of the system and not go back the next day and have the activity that I just finished submitting not being there, or the picture has been taken. It's been a little interesting. Shopping, this is where you get the club new member kits and where you can get awards and pins. And then of course there's a multitude of Lions shirts, ties, books, pins, rings, lots of things. And when you go to conventions, you see a lot of those kinds of things as well. But the Lions International has their store as well. Insights, I don't think I've even been on that one. It says it increases knowledge. You can explore club trends. We'll go look at it. And then I have to do this. But this learn and grow is now pretty much up and running. And you will be able to go back and pretty much review everything I've said and done here when you're able to log into my Lion LCI and go to that learning section. There's a general for all officers, which Mike Collins did that first training. That was that type of training. And then because if you log in and you're a secretary, then there's a secretary. If you're one of the really lucky few who's a secretary and a treasurer, you would have access to both of those trainings. So whatever it is, whatever positions you have, those trainings would be available for you there. And here's what it actually looks like. For me, I have the club secretary learning path, the responsibilities, and then this general club officer training. So another resource that we have is the club secretary ebook. It's only 18 pages long, and you can go in there and take a look. And I'm going to make sure that everyone, hopefully, I'll be able to tell who all has been on here. Carrie, do you know if everyone who's logged on, does Mike get a list of those people? Is there a way so that we'll know who to send the book to?
He says yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll be sure everyone gets this ebook. All right. So now all I have to do is figure out here how to get out of here, right? There we go. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Hi, everybody. Now I can see everyone's boxes. Okay, so now I get to share my screen again. Isn't this fun? I got out of here earlier. Here, maybe this was it. I know there's a way for me to. Hold on. Well, I did it earlier. Why can't I? Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. Aha. Okay. Well, I didn't even think to look down here at the bottom where I could pick stuff. Okay, so my login. There we go. My computer's protesting that it's got too many things to think about. There we go. Oops, where'd you go? It was there. I'll just do it this way. So you would start out as a new secretary for the first time, or an officer, let's say, and you haven't been in the Lion account, then you would do this registration. And you'll need your club membership number, which hopefully your secretary gave you on a card, because you register, you know, you paid your dues, and then you get a new membership card for the next year. But if I can remember my password, and type all at the same time. You know, I have a computer that's about 10 years old, and I still use Windows 7, and I protested doing anything. Oh, yuck, really? Try again. I probably backspaced, and it really doesn't like that. And I found if I type it too fast, I have to enter it again. Keep your fingers crossed. Oh, come on. Oh, that's why. Because Peggy can't type. There. Really? By the way, this happens to me on a pretty regular basis. northerntel.net. Okay, that's right. I need a simpler password that doesn't have so many characters in it. Be patient. Keep your fingers crossed. Really? You know, one time I did this and then it finally just popped the screen up, so. Oh, come on. I should have just logged in before we started, huh?
Sorry for interrupting, but that happened to me this week, earlier this week, and then I got a notice from International that they were having problems with the website.
Yeah, let's hope that that's not the case tonight, because I would be really distressed if I don't get to show you guys some of this. If I type really slow, no. Well, and I know that they had, I can't even remember, they called it an event of some kind. They didn't actually say that they were hacked. They used a different term. You know what, I'm gonna try something else. I'm just going to, let me try this. And then let's just, now you all know that I like to play Web Sudoku. Come on. Wow. No, that's not what I wanted. Anybody want to pay my electric bill for me? That'd be dandy. Okay. Look at that. I'm logged in. It was a miracle. That happened to me before too. So yeah, and please don't ask me how that happened. So now what you can see is that I am at home, but this is actually zone 8, which is because I'm a zone chair. So, and I won't tell you how long it took me to find this little box up here that says select a different title. Hello. So, but what I really want to focus on is what you as a secretary can see. One of the things that needs to happen for all of you that are currently secretaries is we need to make sure, it's really important to our district officers, that next year's officers have been entered in. So that's where you click to go do that. Now, when I selected, like here's our current year, okay? So when I went in and clicked on enter officers, this was what came up for me before I entered in next year's. So as you can see, here's Mike Tobin, Nancy Linnell. I know she's on here. Bless her heart for learning all this stuff, Nancy. And she's our first vice, but she's our our president-elect now. And so you can kind of go through here and see our officers for this year. But now we go to next year, where Nancy has moved up to president. And here's Tasha, who's going to be the new secretary. And yes, Peggy's going to be the treasurer. But it's important for this information to be here before June 30th, because all of our new directories, I don't know how many of you have seen our club directory. It's this blue book, and we have several of them, and you'll get them. But it's important that this information in this book be correct. If it's not, then we can't talk to each other very well. So, and then you can go to past years too and look at all kinds of stuff. But I kind of thought that we would just go through this list. So here's our membership report. Now, if I click on this, this is where we can add members. So here's our list of members. It's in alphabetical order. It has quite a bit of information in it, and you may or may not have all of it, but when they fill out that new member form, there's should be email, phone number, address, that you make sure that there's at least general information that we need in order to work with each other. Now, you have the ability to go in and say, I'm just going to say that there aren't any changes in our membership. As you can see, you not only can add a member, but you can edit a member, go in and look at their address. You can drop a member. And when you do, let's not do that here actually, but you'll notice that there's reasons for why they're no longer a member. I had the unfortunate duty to go into one of our dear members who had been a member of our club for 15 years, who passed away in December, and that broke my heart to have to go in and do that. But you know, it happens to all of us. I know all of us have lost members to death, but here are several reasons. You know, they resigned in good standing. We had a non-payment. They didn't come to any meetings and they didn't pay, you know, just various things. Or maybe they transferred, maybe they moved and transferred to another club. So lots of reasons why you would go in and try to be as accurate as possible when a change like that. You can create a family unit. We don't have any. In our club, everyone is a member, but here you would go in and like you could say, okay, here's Mary Jo Asham and here's Phil, and maybe they're going to be a family unit. And my understanding is that there are different membership dues depending on whether you're an individual member or whether you join as a couple or a family. So that could definitely be you know, something you could do. Like I say, we haven't done it at all. So, but now I'm going to report the month of May. You can see that March is already done, April's already done. So I'm going to say we had no changes in membership for the month of May, and I'm close enough to the end of the month that I could cancel this, but that's what I'm going to report for May. And every month you should go in and make any changes to your membership that you need to make. Add any new members, and they make it really easy. If you don't have any member transactions, then you just say that. So you can see that since here's July, that's our fiscal year is July to June. So I've got a check mark in every one of those. And the nice thing is that it will leave them open for you to go and do that with. If you haven't, you forgot to do it last month, no problem. You just go in and you can select, you know, like whichever month it is that's still showing as no report. Hopefully I don't know whether they list more than 3. If you forget to do, like if you hadn't done February's, I'm not sure if February's would be listed, but I know the 3 are. So, okay, so Jen in White Sulphur said, we have multiple couples, head of household in our club. Okay, and with family membership, the primary pays full dues and the other family member pays half. Great, thank you. So I guess that would be something to consider when you have couples join, and you know, maybe the dues is what do I want to say, a concern for them, you know, that wow, I don't know if I can afford for both of us to join. You can offer a family membership instead. I think that affects the voting that someone has as well. Am I correct in that? That they operate just as regular members. Awesome. Okay. Well, and then our dues are charged that same way, right? So here's what you do. You enter family members, and then they generously pay the full dues, right? No, I'm kidding. Okay, you guys have to get used to my dry humor. So we've done next year's officers, and you'll notice now that I don't have a thing here that says, hey, you need to do your membership, because now I'm caught up. I've done May. Specialty club category. I don't know what that is. I've never clicked on it. We're going to learn some stuff. Oh, I do remember this. Okay. So you could have club branches. Here's what we have in ours. Well, we need an image. That's for sure. I'll have to go put a picture in there. But here we're Coots. Here's our club ID, our charter date, which as you can see was 1934. We had a party last fall for our 85th year. Our normal meeting place. Now, we normally meet at the Methodist Church. You can enter something else. This is the address. And you'll notice too, the week of the month that we meet. Now, we just made a decision, or we've had a discussion, to meet the first Tuesday of the month instead of the fourth. So before we go into the fall, I'll need to check that and uncheck that. I know some clubs meet every week. Some clubs meet every other week. You know, obviously the days of the week change. Some of you meet year round. We don't have meetings in July and August as a rule. So we thought that if we met the first Tuesday of the month, that would, hey, so I'll have to look at my minutes. I can't remember if I think we all agreed to do that. Did we, Tasha? No, I don't know. Nancy might know too. I'll have to look at the minutes and make sure. I'm not going to change it right now, but that would be where I would go in and say, because guess what? Our meeting dates are in this directory when we meet, so that our district governors know that if they show up at the Sunburst Methodist Church on the fourth Tuesday of the month, hopefully there's someone there to greet them, or you know, wherever it is that they have their normal meetings. So meeting location 2, it says you use this option if your club implements the majority of the meetings, and then you maybe have an alternative one, or hey, here you go, on an electronic platform. I wonder if that's kind of new. Maybe not. All right, so it has your club information, and again, you want to make sure if that meeting date isn't what you want it to, now you know where to go and look at that to fix it. Here's my information. Here's our district information, who our current governor is, Verna Love, our cabinet secretary, our treasurer, and you know, the my service activities, as this says now, is no longer being done here. So we're going to bounce over to that pretty soon. And then I wanted to just show you very briefly that you can also look at the district as a whole. I mean, here's the 67 clubs in our district. Whoops, got to put my, there we go. I mean, if you maybe want to call someone, you know, maybe Conrad and Cutbank want to get together and have a party because they're not that far apart, you know, or maybe there's a project that several of us want to maybe try to work on with our Plus Optics machines. Here's the list of clubs that you might want to, you know, go in and see. Here's our district profile. Wow, that's a kind of a squished thing. Yes. And officers. So maybe your club would like someone to come and do something special. Maybe you've got a member who hit 30 years. I've got, as a zone chair, I've got some letters for members. There are some you guys that have been members for 50, 60, 70 years. That acknowledgement, you might want somebody special at your meeting when you present that pin. You might not just want your zone chair. Maybe you want one of these other officers, your immediate past president or the district governor or someone, you know, and you can see where they are. You can find out who might be close enough to come and do those presentations, you know, to really make that transaction something that is memorable. And then you can put that in your minutes that you've had this person come and visit too. Don't forget that. And invite some special people to come. I know a lot of the clubs, you know, in Sunburst, we're like 110 miles from Great Falls. We're 9 miles from the Canadian border. We don't have necessarily a lot of people, but maybe you want to do a diabetes thing and you want to bring in someone from your local health department that could help you, you know, with some brochures that you could just pass out. Create some awareness. Hey, how can I do a kind of a self-test? Well, you might want to bring that person to the club so they could talk to your members. And they're not a lion, but They have information for some path that your club has a member who maybe is passionate about. You know, maybe you want to look at pediatric cancer or one of those other projects. And then here's this new club application. You know, we're not that far from Shelby, and I know Shelby had a Lions Club at one time. You know, maybe it's time to see if there are people there who would like to start a club. So that's the kind of information here that's on my LCI. So now I'm going to return to my Lion account. I won't tell you how long it took to find that out either. But anyway, let's go back here to this main page. Oh, don't do that. Really? That is not where I wanted to go. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Keep your fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. It's miraculous. Oh, this technology is scary. So now we need to go and take a look at activity reporting. And I really liked the old one, but old dogs can learn new tricks. So here's what I've been reporting since July 1st. We've had 2,576 people served through our activities, which in a town of 400 is pretty crazy. And I may not be reporting it right, we'll see, but we've had 39 different activities and we've donated $1,900. So this is sort of, you know, your, what do I want to call it? Your homepage snapshot of our club. And then you have, I got to do this, here we go. So metrics. I think that this is kind of where you can go and look at some of the details. You know, we had a Jeff Veely awareness presentation, and our Lions Club was involved in that. And we helped do the daycare or whatever, brought food for it. You know, here's we have some Lions who helped with our science fair. And here's all of the activities that we've had kind of in a list. And, you know, who did we serve? Was it environmental? We have some gals who go, and we have an entrance sign to our town, and it's pretty cool. And we've been told that, you know, it kind of makes it a friendlier place to show up in. Now, I don't have a lot of pictures on some of these, like our Red Cross blood draw. We've got members who serve there. And you'll see this under here, we've got signature activity. And I don't know exactly what happened to that signature activity list. I'll show you that here shortly. But so you can page through, and let me just pick, oh, here we go. Here's our, this one's fun. Here's our Coots Senior Citizen Christmas Party. We do that, our club does this every year. And we go up to Coots, which we used to be an international club, and we were called the Coots Sweetgrass Club because we had one of our legs was in Alberta and one was in Sweetgrass. And several years ago, when District 37 got reorganized, we became just a Montana club, but we've continued to carry that name. But we go up to Coots and have this Christmas party, and they play bingo, and we have a cake. And so we had 27 volunteer hours. We served the 24 people that you see sitting around the table. We donated about $100 to, you know, in the cost of the food and the cake and the prizes and all that kind of stuff. So, and as you can see here, you can go in and edit the activity. So let's see here, what have we got? I could change the picture, for example. I could go and pull up a different picture. And this is a signature activity, and see where it's the activity. I'm not really sure what's going on here with this whole signature thing. But it's held at the community center. Here was the date we did it. And then if we go to the next page of information, this is where we've served the people that we've served, the funds. And obviously, this wasn't a fundraiser, so we didn't have any funds raised. We had 8 people volunteer. We spent about 4 hours apiece, some more, some less, and just had a really wonderful time. And it's something that those folks really enjoy, and they look forward to it. So as you can see now, because I said I was going in to review it or edit it, now I have to resubmit my report down here and click submit. Okay. but you can go in and edit it. And now, look at where it popped me to. It popped me to activities, and it says there are no activities found for the selected time frame. And I'm going, I haven't selected a time frame. What are you talking about? Well, guess what? We can do upcoming activities, or we can go to past activities. Oh, there they are. Thank God, because I thought I'd lost them all. And you can see that you can do different levels. It can be a service, a fundraiser, a meeting. All of our meetings are recorded. Here's our April one that we did, and via GoToMeeting. It can just be a donation. Maybe you do an annual donation to MyLCI. We do one to MyLCI, and our president has been also, one of his projects is Leader Dog. And so we pay for a puppy every year, which has been really fun. Is it active? Is this a draft? Have we reported it? Is it still? So if I want to see if I have anything that was unreported, I don't. I do have all of these that were reported. And then we have causes. And MyLCI, our international parent has chosen several things that are causes: hunger, environment, childhood cancer, diabetes, vision, and other. And so when we have like a plus optics, that goes under vision. If we're doing our food bank, that's hunger. I mean, obviously. So there's a wide variety of things that we can do, but I'm usually in the mode of reporting past activities. So what I want to do now is just walk us through that process. How are we doing on time? Look at that, you guys. It hasn't even been an hour. Okay, so we're going to hit plus. Now, you'll see here that I have this kind of single page here so far, or get this, I can report the old way. Now, this isn't the old way that was on my LCI. This is the old MyLion way. So I'm going to show you this one first. And let's say that we're going to do, let's do a service activity. And you have to see how the red changes. I would go in here and it looked like service activity was selected, but if you haven't selected something, you won't be able to hit the continue button. And now you're going to see these causes that Lions International has specifically wanted to work on. When Lions was very young, our cause was vision. Our cause was, the Helen Keller history that Lions International has. Or you can say other. Our club does an awful lot of stuff that's other. Hunger, let's look at that. Let's continue. So we do food collection for our food bank. And I want to tell you how we do that. It's kind of fun. Our club, when we come, has, and see where it doesn't, there used to be a place where you would have selected a drawdown, and our food bank collection for our meetings would have been one of the things, but it is a signature activity. And let's just say that it's food bank collection, and doesn't really, and it was at the, we'll pretend that my April meeting was in person. It wasn't. And that it happened at the Sunburst Methodist Church. And it happened, whoops. In April, which our meeting was here. And time would have been PM. Oops, yep, 6 p.m., 6:30, we'll say. And you got it. I suppose you could just type it in. I'll use their arrows just to show you how not easy it is. There we go. And, oh, see, the end date can't be before the start date. What did I do? Oh, okay. There. Now it's happy. You'll get messages when the arrows mess up. So here's what we do. Each club member, whoops. We're really fortunate. One of our members happens to be very involved in the food bank. So members donated cereal at the meeting. Okay. We're required to bring it, or our tail twister will charge us for not remembering our food bank item. And then you've got the people served. Now, according to our gal, we serve about 35 families with our donations. Our individuals, like families of 4, so a cereal box would go to 4 people or whatever. We don't donate any funds. We didn't raise any funds. And maybe we had, let's say 15 people come to our meeting, and I don't know, I figure it costs people a little bit of time to go to the grocery store and, purchase their stuff, or remember to find it on their shelves or whatever. So maybe you figure it took a half hour for each of those, or, so maybe, I don't think you can do halves. Nope. You have to put you can't use decimals and stuff like that. And the community outcome is, provided the food bank with cereal. I'm just making this up. Okay, bank. Can't type. There we go. There. So then you could continue. And now you get to take a look at what you've entered here and say, is that what you want? Now, if I click report here, it says, do you want to submit it, or do you want to go back? And I'm just going to say, sure, I'll submit it. And keep your fingers. Okay, now see, all of a sudden I've been bounced back to activities, and there aren't any in that time frame because it puts me back to upcoming activities. So I was freaked out because I kept thinking I'd lost everything. So now here's this food bank collection. Now you all know that I made that up. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to come down here. I could copy it each month. Instead of having to go in and type all of that stuff, I could copy it. I could change the dates and time or whatever. And maybe we're doing canned goods or food that's easy for kids to prepare. We were actually had that plan for our March meeting because the kids were going to go on spring break, and instead COVID-19 hit. So it actually still turned out to be a good thing. Or I can go in here and I can say that I want to delete this activity. Yes, I'm pretty sure I lied. There we go. Okay. So that's kind of sort of how this system works. The simpler form is right here, and let's say we're just going to do food bank donation. Here's my club name. I'm the creator. It was a single day. We just did that at our April meeting. And let's say that it was a donation. I know that, is it a signature activity? Do you do this all? I mean, is this something you do every month or every year, or it's a regular thing? Now, there was a point in time when I could go in and enter the service activity that were signatures, and then you could just click on it and it would fill out a bunch of information. I'm wondering if maybe this didn't work real well, so they took it down for a while. Who knows? All I can tell you is that it's exciting to come in here each time and see whether or not it's the same as it was last month. What's our cause? Here we go. So the cause is hunger. And funds donated. Now maybe, I know CutBank did this because I saw it in the paper. We donated, and don't forget, you can't do, it'll let me put the decimal in there. Huh, how about that? Are there additional metrics? I don't know. Let's see what they are. Oh, if we had the number of volunteers and the hours, the organization receiving it. Let's just say CutBank Food Bank. There we go. I don't know. We didn't raise any. And how many people did we serve? You'd have to talk to the people at the food bank to find out how many people would $500 serve. Maybe it's 100, but let's just say 50. And you've gotten that information from someone. And then here's your description that you can put in. And here's where you can upload a picture. Maybe, this is going to be interesting to see. I take pictures on my phone and then I email them to myself. And it's thinking. I see a bunch of chats here while this is thinking. Let's see. Okay, how do you get to this site? When I type in MyLion or MyLion login, it doesn't give the option to register. And yes, Nancy, any member could absolutely make sure that the secretary has pictures of things so that we could you can only put one picture on. We used to be able to do 2 on the old site, and it's kind of frustrating, quite frankly, because let's see here. I need to go find my desktop. It's frustrating because you might have 10 really good pictures and you can only put up 1, but that's okay. Let me see. I think I should have some pictures in this file, maybe. Oh, you have to submit canceled due to COVID. We have volunteer hours, but no people served. Jen, I don't know. I would say that you would go ahead and enter in the activity because you did have hours, and I wouldn't think there would be anything special, maybe other than just say thanks to COVID-19 we had to cancel. Okay, so see, here's a bunch of pictures that I had.
Okay.
Here's ours. Somebody wanted to say something? Go ahead.
No, just wanted to say thanks.
Oh,
This is Jen.
oh, okay. You're welcome. Okay, so I'm just curious to see what this picture is. I don't even know. I just clicked on highway cleanup, which isn't what we're talking about, but I wanted you to at least have an idea of what it would look like. And oh, look at that. There we were out on doing highway cleanup. And Abner even had a Lions shirt on. You know, it's kind of cool to have a tail twister that finds out these things, because then you can go back and say, you owe the club 25. That's how we actually don't charge an extra due for being like our club member. We charge people for not wearing their pins and you know, forgetting their cereal or whatever. And then we also do a door prize each meeting that someone brings. Well, the person who bought the last one has to bring the next one, and then we have a bidding thing, you know, just different kinds of fun things. So I'm going to save this, and maybe, and remember that this is the new one. Why didn't it? Maybe I'm saving the picture. I don't think so. Come on. And now you're seeing why Peggy gets frustrated with this lovely system and why I go back to reporting the old way. Come on.
I think you have required fields that are empty, which is why it's not doing it.
Oh, let's see what was required. Or is it same?
I see description down below.
Oh. Oh, I see. That's why they're red, you think? No? Okay.
There's
so
a little red asterisk.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so donated here. I'm pretending here, so why not, right? $500 just to put something in the box. Let's see if that helps. Oh, there, now you've got a report. Okay, so I was saving what I had so far. Thank you. But obviously, because I was trying to be fast there. So now we're going to do the report. And it should come up and say submitted successful, maybe, or something. Oh, I see. Yes. Here's where required to save and required to report. Okay, so do I have any more asterisks? Yes. Why is that still there? Any suggestion? Oh, here we go. It didn't, I bet it didn't like that. It took it, but I bet it didn't like it. Single day. These are all. Let's try that. Huh. Well, let's go back here. You never know. Nope. Okay, let's try it again. Do something. Here we go. Single day. Activity type. Cause. Who can see everyone. And what that is, you know, we aren't part of a multiple district. You can show your district, you can show your club. So anyone who has access at these other levels can see this report. It's basically what that's saying. And maybe I won't try to upload a picture. Aha, of course. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so do you suppose that it didn't like, so now I'm going to go to this report, because after all, you guys will laugh, there's a fly on my screen. That's just cool. All right, let's try this again. See if it remembers where it found the last one. Okay. Here, we'll put a Christmas party one in. There we go. Okay, save. I had a lot of trouble with photos. I'll just share that with you. Object, progress, event. That doesn't sound good, does it? Well, you can always go back in and try later if it didn't work. Or go back and report the old way, and I won't guarantee that the photo will upload too. But, you know, it's what we have to work with right now. Mike and I went to the Spokane USA Canada Forum, and one of the meetings I went to was about this software that we're working with, and the frustration level was pretty high. And they gave me a kind of a cheat sheet for this. You guys know I have to go in now, right, and delete this puppy. There we go. And I am also happy to forward that to all of you. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. All right. I'd be happy to forward that to you as well. It really was somewhat helpful anyway. Okay, Steve, no problem. I think we're just about done. At this point in time, does anyone have any questions? Yes, Robin.
As an outgoing secretary, how long do I have access to the site?
June 30th. At least that's what happened to me, is that Diane lost access as of June 30th when she was no longer listed as the secretary. Mike Collins might know too, but and I had access as of, you know, or maybe July 1st would be the right date, Robin, but I think you get cut off as soon as the new person term starts. Is that correct, Mike? That as soon as a new officer comes in? June 30th. Okay.
Okay, but is there a time that we can both be on it so that I can train her?
What I believe, once the names are in there for the next year, she should be able to sign up. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You can do that on your original screen. There was the two options, the sign in and then the sign up.
Right.
Okay. When I took over secretary, we were both on there for, I think, 30 days
Oh, okay.
so that we could do training. So I don't know if that's still the case.
It may be, I'm not sure on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just know that when I sat down with Diane, she was no longer able to log on, but I think it was July when we did it. So I'm not sure.
They kind of made a mess of it last year and kicked everybody off on June 30th.
Okay.
It took quite a bit to get everything back in place. So anybody that didn't have their officers in by June 30th, the new officers couldn't log in or anything. So it's really important to get those in before June 30th.
Okay. Okay. I'll get her signed up.
I wanted to mention a couple of things. I heard you, Peggy. The number one, early on, it was asked about, are these going to be repeated? Probably in webinar form again. We are recording all of them.
Oh,
So
right.
we've done the president and treasurer and a general one. They're all been recorded. We will get them available on the Montana Lions website. I'm still working on getting them to them to get them on the website. So, and then the other thing we're planning is, fingers crossed, hopefully we're going back to our original plan of having regional officer training in person next spring. So there'll be 4 different regional trainings, one for the northern area, one for eastern, southern, and western. That's the plan. Hopefully we are out of viruses by then and we can get those done.
I like the trainings. They're helpful.
Good. And then I wanted to mention, Peggy, you and Mike should be family members. The only difference is you save money and they don't send you 2 Lions magazines.
Oh, yeah, and we've never signed anyone up in our club as anyone but individuals. So there's several couples that maybe we should start going that route. It would save everybody a lot of money.
But other than that, your status is you're a Lion. You're a full status as Lion. So it will
Awesome.
save you half of the international dues, basically,
Right.
for one person.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely talk about that. And I know Nancy, you're on here. She's our incoming president, so we can maybe make that something to discuss at our next meeting. And Nancy, in the chat, I put what I hope is the link to get to that initial screen that I brought up. Hopefully, it's myapps.lionsclub.org. And
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
Can't we change our memberships to that at the end of June when you are going to send, when the
yeah,
treasurer sends in?
So should I do that, Mike? Just go in and change all of our family members to, couples?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I think you're building.
Tasha and I can make that happen. Yeah, I guess this is the way it's always been. So this is awesome. We learn something new every day. I didn't go.
You mentioned when dues are paid, so the district due bill goes out in January, once a year, January.
Okay, it is January. That's right.
And then the international dues go out twice a year, January and July.
Right. I think I had that part right. Okay.
So, no, say that again, would you, Mike?
Like
You pay dues twice, but it's to different places, right?
correct.
Right.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. International.
International bills twice a year. So they bill in January and July. So that for your club dues, so they're split in half. The district your club, you also pay district dues. They're only billed once a year in January.
Okay, so which one makes a difference for this family rather than individuals?
Just the international.
That's
Yeah.
international. So
Right.
that one could be adjusted before the 1st of July.
Yeah, I would go ahead and put them anytime you're ready, because then the next billing cycle, definitely before July.
Okay. So I go in just like what I was showing people. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. There we go. So I come into, first I gotta be me. There we go. And my Lions Club members. So let's, as you can see, we have lots of couples here. Tasha, how about if I do you and Chris? Let's see. Okay, so we want to edit. Is that correct? No, nope. Go back. I just saw it. Create family. Okay, create a family unit. There we go.
And this could apply if there are more than 2 people that are Lions and living in the same household. That's the requirement. All of them can be a family unit if they're a family. So you have your adult children living with you and they're Lions, they also get the discount. They could be part of a family unit.
Okay, so obviously I haven't seen a marriage license. I'm pretty sure Tasha probably could show me one. But can we just say other forms of verification, like that they sit together at every meeting and they wear wedding rings with each other now and then? How
They
does
have
that?
the same last name.
And proof of, and have the same last name. And it's like, what else would we use?
The reason, and they're basically asking this because the requirements are, they've got to be, and you see in the relationship, they could be other family, but they just are asking for verification.
Sure.
But they have the same address. Isn't that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've done that. I'm showing Chris as the head, Tasha. I just I suppose husband, wife, it doesn't matter which way we do it, right? And then I'm going to save that. I could make Tasha the head of the household. What do you think, Tasha? That would be better. You can go in and do it if you don't want. Okay, so now we have that. Now I'm going to go back to members and just do it again, right?
Yep. So basically you just save them 20, what is it, $23
Wow.
a year?
And
Something like that.
I've never heard anybody even talk, and I saw that there and I just didn't even know what it meant. So I should just go into all of our couples and do this.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. We will make that happen. I won't bore you guys with it, but thank you because, yeah.
And it's another good sales tool when you get some, you know, when you get people to come in and say, come on, bring your whole family. You get discount for.
Yeah, because it's less expensive to be a couple than it is to be two single people for sure. All right.
You won't get 2 copies of the Lions magazine anymore.
I wondered why we did. I thought this is kind of silly. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, and this is what is so cool about our ability to talk to each other and work together, because I did what my predecessor did, you know, and I'm sure she did what her predecessor did. So our club has never taken advantage of that. I don't know whether anybody even knew. Thank you so much. Other comments or questions?
Hi there.
Peggy,
Lee from Bozeman, Sourdough Lions. Been hiding down here in the corner. And I just want to tell you this was very helpful, even though I've been our club secretary for years and years. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. I'm so glad. I know when I sat down with Diane, I was a little overwhelmed, you know, and it's important to go in and play around with it and figure out what you're doing. But here I am just doing what we've always been doing, and I found out it's costing us a lot of money. So yeah, this is great. Good. I'm glad it's helped. I really I told Mike, I says, I want to be able to interact when I do this because it just makes more sense.
Right.
So
Right.
Nancy, this doesn't make any sense. Maybe you and Mike and I can talk afterwards and we can try to figure out why you're not getting access to that, because you've been an officer with the club and everything too. Huh. Weird. All right. Well, we're close to 20 after 8, and you know, I knew I wouldn't be able to keep it to an hour, but I don't want to keep you longer than we need to. And Mike will help me send out. We can send out the presentation. We can send out the ebook for the secretaries, and there was something else. What were we going to email to everybody? Help.
Peggy,
Yes.
I think it was your cheat sheet.
Oh, okay. My what my template?
Well, no, you said that you had a cheat sheet for, I don't know, entering something.
From the USA My
Oh,
Lion.
right, USA.
You said you got a cheat sheet in Spokane.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. See,
Like
how
cheat.
quickly I forget. I'm writing this down. Okay, USA Forum, Canada Forum, cheat sheet. Thank you. Yeah, for the activities, and you know, you already saw how well it worked, and I will say that if you have trouble with it, I really struggled with the pictures. I would upload a picture and it would show and it would save it, and I would go back and the picture was gone. So that's kind of why you're seeing that some of my stuff didn't have sometimes there's just no picture to put in. But I do know that, and obviously they were having trouble with signature activity because that piece is missing. But play around with it, and if you have questions, I probably won't be able to answer them any better than I have tonight. So anyway, information will go.
I'm guessing on the pictures, I don't have, and the other thing about this is I don't have, I'm not a secretary, so I don't have the access.
You should
So I
be
can't
thankful.
play with it. But I'm guessing it has to do with picture size.
Oh, okay.
If you're having
Okay.
trouble uploading them, they probably got to be they can't be too big.
Smaller picture. Okay.
I'm guessing that it may have something to do with that.
Save it with just a few
So-
pictures instead of whatever.
So Mike, are you saying that only our secretary can enter this activity stuff? I was just thinking if we had somebody in our group that is an avid photographer, could she go into the secretary's site to do it for her rather than have to send the pictures to the secretary and then the secretary enter it?
They could not. So you're limited. What you can do in all these applications are limited to by what your login role.
Right.
I mean, in theory, you could give me your
Okay.
login. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you could, and then they could upload them. But so there is another option too. If you have someone in your club that likes to do this kind of stuff but doesn't want to be the secretary, there is a role now called club administrator. If you go to the officers, anyway, you can designate someone as a club administrator, and they have the same rights in the system to do things like the secretary. They can go in and enter people. They can go in and do reporting. It's a new, probably near the bottom, I think.
So if a vice president has access, could the vice president get into the secretary's part? Or it's,
President and secretary can only do are changing, because I'm a treasurer, and as treasurer, I can't change people. I can't add people. I can't create.
but the club administrator could?
Yes, it
If you
has.
added that officer?
It
Would
has
we
the
do it
same-
down here then? Looks like it.
Yeah. If you do add officer, I think it'll give you an option to.
There's a club director.
Oh, did they get rid of it for some reason?
Here, let me go into the next year and see if maybe it's,
Yeah.
okay. I know that some clubs have a secretary and then they have an activities person. You know, they kind of split the position. I've heard of that, but I don't know if they end up both having to share that, like you said, Mike, share that access.
It used to be other, so ignore me for now. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe it's at a district level.
There's a
Jen
new
wants
rule
to know.
that's on there. I don't know why we're not seeing it. I don't know if they got rid of it. And anyway, never mind.
Okay, Jen, I will see if I can find out about that picture stuff, and if I can find out what the picture size requirements are, I will include that with with the cheat sheet from the forum, and then the ebook. I think was so we were going to do the cheat sheet and the ebook for secretaries, and then yeah, we'll go from there. And then we've got this recorded, as Mike said. So, and Mike, those will be on the district website, Montana, right?
Yep. MontanaLions.org.
MontanaLions.org. Ah, click on this image to go to news. Okay, maybe. Ah,
Yeah, he had to rebuild the site, so we had.
okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool.
And there'll be a
Here's the
title up here and stuff.
Constitution, the bylaws, a policy manual, cabinet, lots of stuff. And are the newsletters posted here and stuff too? Oh,
Yes.
yep, right here. Click here to read the newsletter. All right, so there you go. Awesome. All right, well, it's now officially, well, no, it's not. We still have 6 minutes. Anyone else?
So is this the site then that you would use to get into My Lions?
I don't think so.
No. No, you
Let
want to go.
Let me try.
You want to go to that link Peggy put in the.
Okay, so if you type My Lion, come down here and here's the app, My Lion org home. Try this one, app.mylion.org home. Let's see what that does.
Well, there used to be a way to get to it directly. And since you're already logged in, it's probably taking you there, but I would, you need to go through the my app normally,
Okay.
my Lions app. It's that link that you put on there, Peggy.
Yeah. Okay. The one that I put in the chat, right?
Right.
Okay. And I just pulled it off of up here. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do this. Let's return to my line account. That's where I found it.
Yeah.
It was right there. And
If you log out, where it says Peggy Tobin, if you could drop that down, you can log out
maybe.
over on the right. Yeah.
I know, but I've got this little box that has the microphone and the cam. Oh, here we go. There we go. Here, let's minimize. There we go. Oh my goodness, huh?
So if you go over to where, there we go.
Okay.
This is where you normally would go. And so there's where the register is.
Yeah. So do I need to copy this link? Wow, that's crazy. Let me try this.
If you go to the other one, it'll take you to this screen.
It should take you to this little messy thing, huh? Wow. Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding. That's ugly. Okay, so what happens if I click this? This should be interesting. It's going to go to Explorer instead of Chrome. Because my computer's really old. Okay, so we probably don't need this guy. Do 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 do.
While we wait, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So this might sound really basic. I missed a little bit at the very beginning of the meeting here, but I would have just completed my second year as secretary and didn't have a whole lot of direction coming into it. When we get new members, short of signing them up, putting them into the list, is there
Right.
anything else that I'm supposed to be doing with them, or like it's just add them and then I'm done? Are we supposed to be keeping their applications
Yeah.
or sending them somewhere, or?
I have kept all of my new member applications. I just have a file with all of those in it. I don't believe we send them anyplace else because of having the system now where we can enter it in, and then that way they can set up that person at the international level, and as Mike said, send you magazines and stuff. But as in terms of that new member, every new member should have a sponsor. Not necessarily even the person that maybe invited them, but someone that they're comfortable with or really good friends with, or that they know who can mentor them. And I think that's probably more important. But as a secretary, I don't believe we have any other responsibilities. Do you know of anything else, Mike, other than the actual maintaining of their data?
No, that's your responsibility, is just to get them entered in the system and keep their data.
Okay. Now, what do you guys do with all your old documents? Like when I took over, I was handed like 3 binders of stuff going back years and years.
Yeah.
Just, is that kind of what happens? Is you just
Yeah. Our
stockpile
club's 85 years old. Here, I found, this was the latest bag that somebody found in their attic and gave to me. And it's got old stuff in it. And then I've got a file of old minutes. And yeah, my goal before, when Tosh and I sit down, is to actually put it all in at least just one big box. But as the club gets older, that's a lot of documents, but I don't think there's a limit on how long we have to keep this stuff. What I've studied and read said that we keep it forever.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, there are no requirements that I'm aware of for, this kind of stuff to be kept, but lots of people keep it. There are some government requirements on accounting documentation, 7
Right.
years. But
Yeah.
for membership stuff, it's really up to the club.
Okay.
Some people are into history and like to, be able to dig back and.
Yeah.
Maybe we need a historian to keep it for us then.
And I get having the old meetings and meeting minutes and stuff, but yeah, when you're switching off, it gets to be a lot to sit there and hand off from person to person.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Our
is.
recommendation is to enlist a person that owns a storage business into your club.
Oh, that's a good idea,
Thank
Jen.
you.
Jen asked if there was any you know, way of digitizing it. I would think maybe we could scan stuff into a file, maybe, and make PDFs or something. Or that would be a great idea, because at some point in time, you know, this is happening for us at the school. You know, you just run out of space. Whoops, what did I just do? I'm trying to delete this. There we go. Got my cursor in the right place. Well, I certainly thank all of you for participating and joining me tonight. And I hope that as time goes on, if you have any questions, you'll feel free to contact me. I am happy here to, I think you've all seen my email like 25,000 times now because I was trying to log in. But here it is, just in case. Okay, Marilee, the treasurer's training, Mike did that. So, and you've got a recording of that training, right, Mike?
Yes.
And so, could you maybe send a copy of that? Well, that'll be posted on the website.
Yep. Hopefully by this week. They're really big files. That's why I can't really email them to anybody.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll check. I'll just keep checking online, Mike. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're right, Carl. I think there are ways of taking some of these old things and scanning them. I think that would be a great idea. You know, and then just having files. We actually we had a discussion the other night of the members that happened to come together for our highway cleanup, and what do we think about maybe having the club own computers for those officers, you know, secretary, treasurer, especially, where this information really belongs to the club, and maybe be able to keep, you know, to eventually have on those computers whatever digitized forms we can get of the documents that we have, and then that way it just moves from person to person instead of all of these bags and boxes and stuff. That would be another really good reason for getting, you know, a laptop that the club could have for all of that. Fun. We could end up with a job that we never get out of.
I would think you could do that with a flash drive.
Yeah.
You could store the that
Now,
way. It would
and
be
how
easy
long-
to transport.
My thought on changing everything to digital is that how many people have stuff on floppy disks you can't retrieve?
Right. That's
You know,
true.
you have to keep changing on digital too. It's probably nice to have a hard copy.
Mm-hmm.
How many use Lions eClubhouse?
What was that? eClubhouse?
How many people are using the Lions eClubhouse?
Didn't
I
know
I don't know
about
what
it.
that is.
Okay, that's a national thing that you can put information on, and it has like your minutes. You can put your minutes on it. This is Doug Larson on Haver. You can put your minutes on it. You can put your projects on it and stuff like that. I'm hoping that that's the way to go, because then it's available to everybody.
That sounds like a
It's
good idea.
Yeah.
LionsEClubhouse.org, and you can go to HaverLionsEClubhouse.org, and you see what I've put on it.
Okay.
Huh, that's neat. I
will
just
write
have a
that.
Google Drive account with some folders people can have access to for minutes and whatnot.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
So that eClubhouse is kind of a place you can have a website for your club. Is its primary
Right.
purpose. So you can put
Mhm.
things like, you know, basically it's a website for your club. And it
Okay.
doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
No, right.
So you go in and personalize it to kind of include your club's information and stuff like that. It's sort of a template then that
Well,
you
yeah, it asks you to set up your club and all that, and you put when you meet and all this stuff, all your officers, you can put pictures in it, minutes. It also has club history. I
Wow.
put my minutes on it,
And then the other members of the club could access the information that way, as
right,
opposed to
anybody can access it.
okay.
Also, one of the other Lions is a little bit more apt, and we had applications for glasses and different, then also setting up screenings for eye testing for groups that they could go in and get the information. Or also, we have somebody who wants to come and talk to our club. There's an application for that too, I think.
Nice. Well, I guess we've definitely gone past our time frame now. I think Mike limited us to an hour and a half, but you know, that's what
I have
happens.
one question before you close.
Yes.
Am I going to have to re-sign in on this Lions, My Lion, being I'm a continuing secretary? Do
No,
we know that one?
no. Yeah, you won't have to re-register. As long as you're the continuing officer, then you'll continue to have the access that you have now.
Will I have to re-register and change my password or anything?
No.
No, as long as you're listed as the secretary for the next year,
I am.
then you're fine. You don't have to do anything.
All right.
All right. Well, Mike,
Thank you.
do you want to? Huh? Should we say goodnight then? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
attending.
you.
Take care, and we'll see each other
Thank
again,
you.
maybe in person next time.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See. So Nancy, were you able to get on yet?
I did by going in and downloading the app. I could
Okay.
never get the web to work, but when I went to my apps and went
Okay.
Lions International, it came up, and then yeah, it's right there. I didn't register, but I got the same screen. So
Okay.
I don't know why it wouldn't do it on just by typing in the website, but
That's weird.
if somebody asked that question. And
Yeah.
I just, that was a wild guess because it said apps in it. So I thought, well, I'll just go to the app store.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Now, were you on a computer or were you on an iPad or something?
During this meeting, I've been on a computer, but I had my
you had your-
phone right next to me. So
Okay.
now I have the app on my phone. I'll have to see if I can then transfer it also to the computer.
You know, and I'd forgotten about that because when Mike and I were at the convention, we did the app on our phones. And I'm trying to remember if I did that before or after I registered.
It could be that once I plug both in and it, does its downloads, that it will move to my computer.
Yep.
And that's probably what happened with you and why you have it.
Yeah, but probably. I hadn't even thought about that. I'd forgotten it's been so long. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a great evening. What's
See ya.
left of it.
See you whenever.
Yes, absolutely.
Are the,
Take care.
are the teachers still at the school? Are the teachers still working?
We had our staff luncheon thing today. I think they're all checking out tomorrow. So
Okay. I realized as I was trying to cut something that Elizabeth has all my knives. She was going to have, I took them to her before I left at Christmas time. She was going to have the culinary class sharpen them.
Sharpen them? Oh boy. Yeah,
So
I'm sure
I'll
she'll be.
send her a text and maybe she'll just leave it in the office so I can, or in her office and I can pick them up. Because the school will be open, won't it, once in a while with the janitors there in the
There's
summer?
people working there over the summer for sure. Yeah.
And I guess Tyler's there most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
Well,
you.
let me know
She
because
probably,
I can always come up and open it for you too.
okay, she
All right.
probably tucked them away, and then when school shut down, she didn't even think about it.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Lot
I
of-
didn't either until I was trying to cut some meat today.
Minor detail, huh? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna post some pictures on Facebook of the bike rack, and we have it at the park, but we need to have a dedication kind of service. And somebody said that Darcy is planning a visit, and so we're gonna kind of try to do it maybe when she's also here, so the whole family can be there. It turned out really neat. Ernie Taft did an amazing job. So
well, that's why I was asking about, it just seems like the secretary has a lot to do. That's why I was hoping we could push that off, just going in and putting the pictures in. I
Right.
can see Jeannie Nodge being willing to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I asked, is it more than the secretary? I thought, well, maybe Jeff could do that as first vice president. Not that
Right.
he would fill out all the activity, he would
Right.
just
But
insert the picture.
yeah,
But
they-
apparently the first VP can't either.
no. It's just the access is pretty limited. Now, Jeff could do
I
it
was
maybe.
just trying to lighten the load of the secretary,
Absolutely. It would be nice. It was
but
funny.
without adding it to mine.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, like finding somebody else. And it's true that they could share the signing information and stuff, but I agree with Mike that that's a little, that's not necessarily something you want to do either. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's not hard if
But I haven't talked to Tasha. Maybe she feels if somebody just sends her the pictures, maybe she's fine with putting them on. I'm just trying to think outside the box.
sure,
The more
absolutely.
people you get involved, the better, as we were saying.
Exactly. Yep. Well, and we'll see. Maybe there's something else we can do, but all right. Well, we'll just
Okay.
keep kind of working on that. But I wanted to let you know that, and Judy was there. Mike presented her with a 13-year little plaque thing for her years as treasurer. 13 years, Nancy. Holy crime! I'm not planning to do 13 years worth. I can tell you that.
You'll talk to her now about at the end of June changing what she pays then, right?
Yes.
Before the end of June?
Yeah, and I will go in and make all those. I had no idea.
I just wonder if that's something that through the year, Bonnie maybe did that for years, but I would have thought when it came time to pay dues, people like Terry or Judy would have spoke up. So maybe it was something that was added sometime to encourage couples.
It could have been. Could have been. I have no idea. But I just assumed that there were voting rights that would be limited, that maybe, that they voted as one unit instead of each having their own say. I mean, I just assumed that was why we weren't doing it that way, but I was really, a wonderful piece of
But I
information.
haven't ever seen it either. You'd think that would be included in the Constitution or something.
Or something, yeah. If nothing else, maybe we just, now we know, we'll just make sure that becomes part of the process. So, and at some point in time, Judy and I'm sure we'll get together and she'll pass everything on, but everything that she's done has been just paper, just a checkbook. And I've got Quicken and QuickBooks, and I have our joint parish. I'm treasurer of our joint parish, and I've got it on there. So I'm going to set up an account for Lions, just a separate one, and I'll try to maybe go back a couple of years so we have some history. And then we'll be able to produce a report every month for the club, just to kind of see what the ins and outs we've, and try to make it a little more visible, I guess. And
It has a
Judy,
very, very old computer. I'm guessing that it would have been hard to put a Quicken program on it.
oh yeah. And but I think,
But it does what she wants, so,
yeah.
Um,
So anyway, but she's, I
No,
mean,
that-
she always said, geez, she feels like nobody's ever audited her, nobody's ever looked at it. And, well, everyone, I mean, it had nothing to do with trust or anything like that. But if we've got, some kind of reports, then people in the club can say, hey, wait a minute, this donation was for this, not that, everybody
It
makes
doesn't.
mistakes.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a double check. Like I audit the Lutheran women's books once a year, and there was never anything that was a problem. And it's not that we we don't trust the treasurer, but sometimes things got put in the wrong place.
Exactly. So and
It was
really,
just a matter of moving them.
well, and and Mike kept asking for, a report of some kind so we could do a budget. So we could say, hey, we've always, spent $300 on this, or maybe we only did 200, but the price of food went up, so maybe we should budget to, but we don't have anything. She hand wrote Mike, sort of a, hey, here's what happened last year with the pancake dinner and this and that and the other thing. But I would just like something that's very easy for us to generate information so we can make intelligent decisions. And trust me, I'm not suggesting that Judy didn't do a great job and she was always able to provide the information, but it's not as easy to access, when it's all manual. And so I just
Well,
want
the
to
checks and balance is just a good idea too, and to make it available to it's just like the confusion. I think it's so odd that you pay your dues to the treasurer, but it's the secretary that sends it in, and we got to make sure those two people communicate.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't send it in.
But Judy said her bill would be based on when she got the bill, like for Gillen's, for example. She paid her dues for several years.
Yes, the secretary has to be sure that the membership is correct so that we're getting
Right.
billed the right thing. Yeah.
Because otherwise you end up paying for more people than you need to.
Yeah. Well, and part of the problem there was that when I talked to Colleen, she was planning on re-signing up. So I had no idea that they weren't going to do it.
Right. So I guess the rule we're going to go with is we don't count you until we see.
That's right.
We see the green stuff.
Didn't pay dues, but I think changing when the dues are due is going to be really important so that we, so that we know, they're
well,
all
and
different.
I think that for couples that will help to split it.
Oh, that's going to be huge for all of us, I mean,
well, no, not all of us. It won't do anything for me.
It won't do anything for you, but you're right. The couples, for sure, that's going to and it might make it easier for us to have new members join too, especially when they're couples, and $130, seems like a lot. It is a lot, and I suppose we could, if you want, if people say, hey, we're used to paying this, we'll go ahead and do it. Well, then that extra $20 savings, that can go into the club, for other things. So I guess we can give them the choice. Anyway, all right. Well, you know what? We're headed out to go camping tomorrow. We're going to go over to West Glacier for a couple of days. And
I hear you got a new camper.
We did.
Did you trade your other one in, or are you trying to sell it?
Yeah, we traded it in, although now I kind of wish we kept it because I've heard of all kinds of people who want one about the size of ours. But, it was easy to trade it in. So that's what we did.
And then you don't worry that if something breaks afterwards, if it's somebody you sold to that's your friend, you feel bad that, there's all that.
Or we find out that the antifreeze got into the hot water tank and we didn't know it, and then when they take the antifreeze out, whatever. We've
okay.
All kinds of horror stories. Hey, thank you so much for joining.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.